I think we're going to have the local, because one of the things that they know during these currency, it's not like this has never happened before, right? And so back in 1913, it was a US dollar in October of 2013, and it was a US dollar Federal Reserve note after December of 1913. Same thing in 1971. It was a US dollar in July. It was a US dollar in September. So they have to keep things looking as normal as possible to get us just to go along with it and not give them pushback. So I think we will have a US dollar coin. They will probably keep the name, but we won't be able to, we'll no longer hold the title of the world reserve currency. I believe that that will be held by the SDR under the control of the IMF. And keeping in mind that the members of the IMF are every Treasury Secretary as well as every central bank chief in almost every country in the world, then, you know, who's really, and they're all independent. I mean, none of them are elected officials. Who really has control? And that's what I think it's going to look like. I mean, I can say that it makes some level of sense because it's easier to transact on a global basis, which consumers then could also transact on a global basis if they use those retail SDRs, especially if every single country puts their currency, or I should say the SDR holds every single currency in there. So you do the transaction in SDRs, but wherever you live locally, it would just express into the local currency. I would like to point out before I go there that they put in the TSA the day before Thanksgiving. So rather than people, and I mean, and this is a big part of it, because at that point, if people had refused to fly, then they wouldn't have been able to put that through. But because they did it right before a holiday when everybody wanted to go wherever they were going to go, people just accepted it. And it's grown into this really disgusting monster that we have today that, frankly, doesn't make me feel safer. So I think that the same kind of thing, I hate to say this, but I think that the same kind of thing could indeed, if you're talking martial law, you know, I think they can regulate a lot of things, because it isn't that happened then and then they didn't do anything. Actually, over a very long period of time, whether it's in the banking system or just in the movement, your ability to congregate. There are laws that have been put on the books that if you don't even have to know that you're congregating in a place where a government official is, that they can arrest you and charge you $10,000 fine and put you in jail for a certain period of time just for being in a place. So I think that we could see, you know, a lot more of our freedoms taken away. And I think that China is showing the world how to do that. I mean, we're definitely in the surveillance economy. And, you know, they've even talked about, they said this would not fly in the US, but, you know, how great for China, because they can track everybody's movements. So if I'm going to go talk to this person, even if I'm by law not supposed to, then they would know about it. So I think what this could very well do is promote that surveillance economy even more. It scares the heck out of me. It's kind of a combination, okay? Historically speaking, I mean, right now it's been suppressed, so it's severely undervalued. So that will change. And in that way, it would increase your purchasing power. But it really is about maintaining your wealth and really keeping your powder dry.
Right.
Because globally, on average, through currency regime shifts like we're going through, 25 ounces of gold or the equivalent would buy, say, an entire city block, buildings and all. So it's not so much the number, it really is putting you in a position to take advantage of the opportunities that arise. Because certainly central banks are buying gold hand over fist. They're consuming like 20% of the global output, and they've been doing that since, well, really since 2010, according to the graphs. But they stopped selling, they stopped leasing in 2008. So, why are the central banks buying an old relic if it has no value? And it's because whoever has that maintains their power. Purchasing power, yes, but also global power into this financial system. And I think that's why you've seen both China and Russia voraciously accumulating gold. And we really don't, if anybody really thinks they're disclosing everything to us, they really probably need to think again. They probably have a lot more. But if you're doing what the central banks do, then you're probably going to be in a much better position as on the, well, I can't say on the other side of this mess, because the opportunities will present, not yet, definitely not yet, as far as converting that into income producing assets. But I think anybody can look out there now and see how devastating this is going to be to a lot of corporations. People still need to have shelter, right? And businesses still have to function. So there's your opportunity. You have those going like that. At the same time, you've got gold going like this.
Right.
You take a little bit of that and you put it into those income producing assets. So no, but you can still build a viable business from commercial real estate, or, dare I say it, food is the biggest issue as we go through this. And I think people now understand what I meant by that. When you go to the grocery store and the shelves are bare, they're bare. Stuff isn't there because people are buying it. Toilet paper. I said right along, that's a great tool of barter. Well, look what happened with toilet paper. It seems silly in some ways, but it's the psyche. And I have been so grateful that I've been preparing for all this time, because I'm not going to tell you that I'm not a bit freaked out by the coronavirus. I am. I'm home and I don't want anybody coming in. But I'm also taking this opportunity to make sure that I have, there's just a lot of opportunities to keep buying gold and silver as long as it's available, and it's probably always going to be available. What's going to shift are the premiums.